Hello everyone, my name is Nanabee, and a few days ago I was browsing the internet and I came across a thread on Reddit from the publishers of Mayhem in Single Valley, letting us know that their game had a demo up on Steam. Now, I'm an avid gamer, and when I learned that this game was essentially full pacifist mode, incredibly visually appealing, and an indie game, I figured I would give it a shot and play through it to give you guys my thoughts and impressions on Mayhem in Single Valley Confessions. Hopefully, this video essay will help you make the decision on whether or not you should give this game a shot. If you like what I have to say, make sure you let me know in the comments down below. Alright, let's take a look and dive into this review and impressions video. When loading up the game, we're met with a really cool animated sequence where the logo electrifies the screens and pans into the main menu. This made me very eager to jump right in and play. Now, this game can be played in two ways, using your keyboard or a Windows-compatible controller. The demo consists of playing through levels in what is assumed to be chronological order. Our introduction to our main playable character begins in a church setting. Audibly, you hear the moans and the groans of what sounds like zombies in the background, and as you run around, you're drawn into talking to someone in a confessional. Our fate lies in the hands of the person behind the curtain, and as we recount our journey leading up to this point, they make the decision of our freedom based on how good or bad they perceive us to be. A very clever way to create a tutorial and also give us some backstory on what happened. Now, I played two playthroughs, once using the keyboard and again using the controller. And to be honest with you, this game performs so much better being played by a controller than a keyboard. Which brings me to my first point, controls. Whether it was intentional or not, this game feels like it was specifically designed to be played using a controller, which is a bit hard to swallow when you're a PC gamer. The game has a demo that was released to be played on PC. My initial expectation was that it was going to control very nicely on that platform, but unfortunately that was not the case. The performance of this game when I was playing using the keyboard was very frustrating for me. The movement system was entirely designated on the left side of the keyboard. It's WASD based, with roll being R, F as your action button, shift as your pull button, so on and so forth. Everything was concentrated on the left side of the keyboard. It made playing the game feel very awkward and a lot more difficult than it needed to be. However, upon using a controller, any problems I had using the keyboard vanished, and the game suddenly became a lot more fun to play, which meant I could play the game without any technical distractions. So when you have a game that plays wonderfully and looks amazing, you can't help but get pulled into it. Which brings me to my second point. Visuals. Visually, this game is stunning. The color palette is bright and vivid, and the lighting system is fucking amazing. The way the shadows move depending on how you move around a light source, or how the shadows permeated within the environment, was really fun to look at and experience. You can tell the developers drew a lot of inspiration from Celeste, Dead Cells, Octopath Traveler, and Earthbound, based on how the game is aesthetically designed. The animation is also really well done, with a lot of the animation principles executed in mind. It's a lot more cartoony, with the character stretching whenever he jumped, or how everything settled by being offset during the idle animation. It was a delight. There was a variety of levels that we played through, each quite different than the other. A green cityscape, rocky canyons, drab unlit mines, a haunted school, and more, each visually separate than the other. Beautifully lit and textured for an indie game. A lot of work has been implemented in the system, and you can tell. Here were some of my favorite locations that had me appreciate and enjoy the visual candy my eyes got to feast on. Having said that, There are a few things I want to talk about that made it very clear I was playing a demo and not the full game. The atmosphere and feeling of a game is generally enhanced by the audio within it, and as delightful as the music was, it feels like there is a bit of ironing that still needs to be done regarding the audio. I don't know what the experience was like for other players who played the demo, but the second I started the game, the way the audio was mixed was extraordinarily loud. Right off the bat, I had to turn it down. Additionally, there were some parts when playing the game that the sound effects and the soundtrack clashed with one another, making it hard for me to hear the audio cue of my actions. Here's an example. The noises sound quite similar to one another, don't they? It's almost as if the creator of the music also contributed to creating the sound effects of the game. Which may or may not have been the case, but as someone who relies on her ears a lot when playing video games, there were times where I got a bit confused with what I was hearing. Was it something happening in the game that was important, or was it the music? Aside from that though, I loved how in order to listen to the music, you had to find soundtracks within the game, as a collectible. And they were worth finding, because the music was a bop to listen to. There were some tracks I just let play for a while before I moved on. Having talked about the controls, visuals, and the audio, I would like to talk about the overall sense of gameplay. On the whole, the game plays quite nicely. However, as someone who has played a lot of video games, I would be remiss if I did not make it clear to you guys that this game demo did not feel challenging at all. The design of each level was pretty straightforward and easy to complete. I'm hoping the puzzles scale in difficulty over time and that the simplicity of how easy it was to overcome each puzzle was just a design for the demo, but I can't tell for sure. There were also quality of life elements that I felt should have been a part of the game, but weren't. A good example of that would be the item selection UI. It took me a while that hitting the right bumper gave me the item on the left and vice versa, which made my encounters take a lot longer than they needed to be. An easy fix for that would be to invert the selection so tapping the right bumper equates to selecting the item on the right side. And I think adding a border over the selected item would make it a lot more obvious for the player. Another example would have been the size of the menu bar at the bottom of the screen. It took me almost 15 minutes to realize that the visual cue to help me exit the area of the zoo was almost hidden by the menu bar. If each level is going to end from either the left or the right side of the screen, I think it would have been better if the menu bar was more centered and smaller. And finally, there were a few perspective issues. At some parts of the game, where you think you need to jump did not always equate to where you were going to land. It took me nearly 5 or 6 jumps just to get from this ledge onto the platform over here. Hopefully, when the game is released, this will be fixed. In conclusion, I would like to say that a lot of the feedback I'm giving, I'm hoping the devs will hear it and possibly apply the fixes. I don't expect it, but I hope at the very least they're heard. This game has so much wonderful potential to it, and I really want it to succeed. It's a breath of fresh air compared to a lot of the games that are being played today. It's quirky, appealing, and genuinely fun to play. I feel like it would appeal to many different audiences, young or old, casual or not. And remember, if you want to try it out yourself, it's currently up on Steam. I'll have a link in my description down below. Personally, I think you should try it out. Give it a shot, play it for yourself. See what you think. If you enjoyed this, please let me know in a comment down below. If you want more reviews on any other demos or early access games that you would like me to share my thoughts and impressions on, please let me know. Every like on this video will help, and if you want to see some Let's Plays and more discussions, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much, and I look forward to sharing more game content with you. Happy gaming!